Progenitus is a forgotten commander. In its heyday, it was one of few 5C options available, but even then, it was often only played for its colors, as casting the Hydra was a monumental task. Over the years, the format outgrew it and more efficient commanders were printed, getting ever and ever more brain dead as the years flew by. Then, in the format's darkest hour, a being of supreme glue-eating intellect was born. Never again would a commander player have to make an uncomfortable choice. A grey blanket of conformity was draped over the LGS, and under its smothering weight, many shriveled and turned to rot. In the end, its power was such that it could only be unmade by the Council itself. Though when they acted it was merciless, it would prove to be too slow. A precedent had been set, and even in its lesser forms, the 5C value donkey playstyle had seeped into the soil of the format, poisoning its roots for 1,000 years. It was from this murky soup of assimilation that a primordial challenger rose to cleanse the world anew, a rainbow-colored avatar of an age long gone, a 5-colored beast that would not be content with the moniker of value engine. It demanded something greater. The title of Payoff. Whoa, that was so intense. Children's card game, am I right? Anyhow. The one goal of this deck is to smash Progenitus into your opponents as hard as hydraulically possible, dealing 21 commander damage one by one. Picture it like a slasher villain slowly pacing toward its victims, telegraphed yet unstoppable. One land drop at a time, we will build ourselves up to pay the double Wooburg mana cost, cast the avatar, attack, and then, with poorly repressed glee, ask the one question every defending player dreads hearing: any blockers? Before we continue, I need to clarify that this is a low power build running a tapped land mana base and no game changers. Nevertheless, you will be the archenemy at the table most games due to the impending doom on the horizon. What does he actually do? Progenitus' biggest strength is its absolutely iconic line of text, protection from everything. Interacting with this dude can be really hard, and it's unblockable to boot, so the commander damage is getting through. Nonetheless, there are a few things we need to watch out for, as in Magic Legalese, protection from everything comes with a bit of an asterisk. Protection will shield us from the following: targeted removal, like Swords to Plowshares, damage-based board wipes, like Blasphemous Act, other creatures, equipment, and auras, and unwanted pregnancy. What protection will not help us against are things like edicts, like Soul Shatter, destroy or exile all board wipes, choose effects, damage prevention, goad, and multi-level marketing schemes. Still, your opponents need to be playing specific cards, many of them at sorcery speed, to deal with the big P. To circumvent this, our strategy is to hit the floor, get in big, and then go. To achieve this, Progenitus needs one keyword more than any other, and that's haste. Creating the one-shot, an epic in 4 parts. Part 1. The haste package. We need to get this guy whopping quickly, and boy do we have good options nowadays. Enchantment wise, we have Bitter Reunion, Nihiri's Resolve, Temur Ascendancy, Rising of the Day, and Rhythm of the Wild. I prefer Rising over Rhythm because it gives us both haste and the +1 damage we need to make Double Strike a true one-shot. We're also running Arena of Glory, but not Hall of the Bandit Lord, as we can't use colorless mana to cast Poggers. On the creature's end, we've got Hellkite Cursor, which can set up a one-shot kill out of nowhere on a pretty early turn. Pro tip, combine Cursor and Nihiri's Resolve to keep Progenitus on the battlefield permanently by resolving the Nihiri's Blink trigger before the Cursor trigger on end step. Part 2, the +1 package. As a commander kill requires 21 damage, we need to pump those numbers up and get Progenitus to at least 11 power for a double striking win. We've already mentioned Rising of the Day and Nihiri's Resolve, but there's also Mirari's Wake, Morog, and a few exalted permanents like Noble and Ignoble Hierarch, Finest Hour, and Progenitus' best friend of all time and forever, Rafiq. Rafiq pulls double duty by providing Double Strike and Exalted, giving Progenitus a clean 22 damage on attack. In general, our game pieces are filling 2 spots per card. The Hierarchy of Exalted and Ramp, Nihiri's Resolve protects P-Boy from sorcery speed removal and hastes and boosts damage, Mirari's Wake doubles our mana and gets us to double Wooburg very quickly and grants +1/+1, etc. Part 3, the doublers. I'm referring to both damage and combat doublers here. The package contains Morog, Gisela Blade of Gold Knight, Aurelia the War Leader, Finest Hour, and Savage Beating. I'd also consider a Chroma's Will in this spot. The lifelink is sneaky helpful. Part 4. The backup one-shotters. I'd like to include 1 to 2 backup Progenitai for those moments where he's decisively been put to rest. What defines a Progenitus is the ability to one-shot remove someone from the game or create a winning board state with a single attack. My favorite is Phage the Untouchable, simply for the meme value. One tiny touch means game over for an opponent, works best when played right after a board wipe. If you want a less memey backup finisher, Ulamog the Defiler is up there, who usually enter with Annihilator 7 to 10, which is enough to send one person back to the Stone Age. If you want to go more memey, play Grun. If instead of one-bopping opponents, you would prefer to generate value, Ancient Silver and Ancient Copper Dragon are great options. Metamai the Ageless is also a good choice. With great CMC comes great payoffs. Now that we have our combat package sorted, let's look at the upside of playing a 10-mana 10/10. WotC has introduced a series of cards that scale directly off your commander's biggest number, and we're playing the best ones. The S tier amongst these is Majestic Genesis. Reveal the top 10 and throw all the permanents onto the board. This card alone is worth playing more permanents for, and I'd recommend trying to cut down on your instant sorceries to make more room for permanent equivalents wherever possible. A more risky version of this style of card is Stinging Study. Instant speed 5 mana draw 10 is wacky wild fun times, but the 10 life loss is a real cost. Considering that this is a slow deck that often has little board presence, paying 10 life can absolutely get you killed. The safer, but less exciting and less sneaky option is Imposing Grandeur, which is a wheel, draw 10, albeit sorcery speed. Then we have the Vision Cycle, which all have a flashback cost reduced by the CMC of our commander. Unfortunately, the only one here that is even remotely playable is Visions of Ruin, which is pretty neat. Best case scenario, it's a 2-time destroy 3 artifacts, create 3 treasure tokens. Newsflash, if you want to obtain your honorary big CMC scaling badge, you'll need to run Cactus Preserve. Activate to create a Progenitus made of succulents. Besides cards that scale off of high CMCs, we are also running some of the best big value bombs in the format, namely Apex Devastator, Aminatu's Augury, Atraxa Grand Unifier, Reshape the Earth, Unite the Coalition, and Eerie and Emergent Ultimatum. Apex is a 10 mana Cascade 4 10/10, Aminatu's is an 8 mana cast 3 to 4-ish plus ramp, Atraxa draws us a new hand and is one of our few sources of life gain, Reshape the Earth sorts us out with all the mana we could ever need, more on the combo potential of this later, Eerie Ultimatum saves the game if everything goes south, and Emergent Ultimatum, well, it needs a bit more of an explanation. Emergent Ultimatum is a tutor that fetches 3 mono-colored spells. An opponent chooses 1 to shuffle back into your deck, and you get to cast the other 2 for free. In our deck, this has 2 main uses. Number 1, guaranteed board wipe. Get Farewell, Decree of Pain, and Blood Money. No matter what they choose, a wipe is happening. And then number 2, the much more exciting option, the biggest value possible. You fetch Aminatu's Augury, Apex Devastator, and Majestic Genesis, and make your opponents choose which value dump they want to face. Now, if you want to force your opponent's hand, choose Reshape the Earth as your third option. Why? Because plot twist, this is also a Gates deck! Reshape the Earth will fetch you all the lands you need to win off of Maze's End the following turn, even potentially winning on the same turn if you have Spelunking on the field. The goal of the deck isn't explicitly to win via Gates, but they are there if Progenitus is being prevented from doing its thing. Yes, someone actually permanently locked me out of combat with this once. Anyhow, most opponents won't choose Reshape as it means a likely defeat, so your other choices are all but locked in. Go off, Queen! The ramp. Talking about gates, let's have a quick look at the ramp package. We're running 40 lands with the majority of them being gates. As most gate mana bases go, we're on the budget end of things, but a few of the other lands can be a bit pricey. For instance, I really love having Cavern of Souls, but it is expensive. Though getting your 10 CMC commander countered is so frustrating, I'd wager that this is worth the cost. Then, we've got Murmuring Bosk to have a fetchable Triome, Arena of Glory for haste, Ondu Inversion, and Valakut Awakening for wiping and wheeling, Spinerock Knoll and Mossward Bridge to accompany our bombs, the World Tree, Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Exotic Orchard, City of Brass, and Grand Colosseum for 5C fixing, and basically every gate you can think of. The most important gate is Gaunt Gate. If you have the option to fetch a gate, get Gaunt first, then Baldur's Gate second unless you need a certain color fixed into. Gaunt Gate enables some pretty silly sequences, including fetching 10 untapped gates with Reshape the Earth. Combined with Baldur's Gate and or Sage of the Maze, this turns Reshape into a massive ritual. Pay attention, however, you cannot fetch Gaunt with Reshape and have all the gates enter untapped. Gaunt needs to already be on the battlefield for this to work. The other special gate I run is Blackgate to make Phage unblockable. More a meme and a dream than a real strategy, but one I hope to achieve nonetheless. Okay, I'm going to rattle off all the ramp spells real quick without going into any detail. You know why we play them, and we need a lot, so here goes. Noble Hierarch, Ignoble Hierarch, Steve, Faebura Elder, Rampant Growth, Nature's Lore, 3 Visits, Farseek, Open the Way, Circuitous Route, Sage of the Maze, Hour of Promise, Explore the Underdark, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Ancient Cornucopia, Timeless Lotus, Spelunky, Mirari's Wake, Black Market Connection, Cease the Spoils, Big Score, Reshape the Earth, and Blood Money. That's 25 ramp sources, give or take. Removal. Our general removal theme is we want to be getting value out of destroying things. We've got our big board wipes and Blasphemous Act, Decree of Pain, Blood Money, Farewell, and Onto Inversion. In terms of targeted removal, we've got Binding the Old Gods, 4 Edict effects in Pure Whim, Vision of Ruin, Soul Shatter, and Allure and Searing Light, which is also a sneaky win condition against other big hitters, and then Unite the Coalition and Spell Swindle as our counterspell. We've also got Ink Shield and Moment's Peace for combat protection. This deck isn't super concerned with policing incremental threats, but if your meta demands it, rotate out a ramp card or 2 and bring in some more hate, ideally something that also helps you ramp. Think of things here like Spiteful Banditry. Flex slots. You can add a lot of your personality to this deck. Depending on what aspect appeals to you, load up with the Tallies and hit the Mother Loads if you love the value bombs. Put in Propaganda and Jaheira's Respite if you love the fog meta. Throw in Heartless Conscription and Sunfall if your opponents just won't stop playing to the board, and add a Door to Nothingness if you have the heart of a champion. Personally, I've been experimenting with Scion of Draco for more life gain recently. It's not very good. At the end of the day, it's a 5 mana value deck, and the sky's the limit. How to play the deck. Your starting hand will ideally have 3 lands, with 1 being capable of producing green mana and 2 ramp cards. You don't want your big bomb stuck in your grip at the start. Don't keep 2 landers with 3 8-drops and no ramp, for instance. Gross. After ramping, the play pattern is to deploy a bomb per turn and see if your opponents can deal with it. The fun of this deck comes from Majestic Genesis style cards and forcing your opponents to have it turn after turn. The best time you're going to have is resolving Emergent Ultimatum and grabbing your value stack. No matter how they choose, you profit. The biggest danger to this deck is the table grouping up on you quickly. Being arch enemy comes with a price, though the deck benefits from often having an empty board state. Many players confuse a lack of creatures with peace and tranquility. Abuse that. If Progenitus is getting bullied, focus on your mazes and win con. Even if your opponents are being responsible removal players, you might just be able to sneak a win out like this. Little trick for you, if you have Spelunking out, you can abuse Maze's End to ramp multiple times in a turn. My final tip is that you need to play this deck knowing that your opponents know what you're trying to do. Your win con is telegraphed and visible. It's right there, it's obvious, and it's coming for them. You are in charge of this game. Play that way. Anyhow, that's my take on how to play the one and only 5-color commander that will ever matter. Progenitus remains a statement card that demands respect in your local Timmy meta. Please show me your Progenitus lists and let me know what your secret sauce is. Have a nice day, and see you next time. Bye!